Welcome back to another episode of the Federal Retirement Show. I'm your host, Val Majewski with American Benefits Exchange. And as always, really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to view our content, to view our show. If you like what you see, please remember to subscribe. Remember to get notified when a new episode comes out. And do me a favor, share it with your federal employee colleagues. They need this information just as much as you do. So you tuned in for a reason. Maybe you're curious. Maybe somebody pointed you this way to the Federal Retirement Show. Do me a favor and point somebody else in our direction, because that's what we're here for, to give guidance and to give solutions and to give just information to federal employees just like you who are looking for it. So hope you enjoyed today's content, but go back also and view all of our previous episodes. We've got over 130 of them. And again, they're geared towards you, the federal employee that's looking for accurate, honest information. So today, we're kind of piggybacking off of this topic that's been very popular. I've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of emails, our reps across the country, a lot of phone calls when it comes to the new legislation that's going out. People are freaking out. And this is what happened or started with the deferred resignation stuff, right? There was a deferred resignation that came out earlier this year. People were freaking out, wondering, what the heck should I do? Should I take this option? Should I not take this option? What are some of the good, the bad, the ugly with this decision? And then with all of that going on and the VERAs being offered and the reduction in force and all of those things, the new budget legislation came out. The first proposal came out. We did an episode on that, of what was in it and what were they proposing and what was going to go for a vote. And now we're at kind of the second stage, right? It's gone through and there's been some edits to it. And we just want to touch base again and give a status update, another legislation update, as we're calling this, but just so you can see what's in, what's out, and what you should be concerned with. Now, understand, the reason why we do this is because things can change. Things can be modified with or without your say. All right? It's not just you get to choose what's in and what's out. They're making decisions. What I mean by they is people like Capitol Hill, those that are voting on this to determine what can happen to you down the road. And I'm going to get into some of that again. If you've not heard of any of this, and this is your first time seeing this episode, and you're like, wait a second, what's going on with this budget legislation? What should I be aware of? Well, we're going to kind of fill in the blanks as we go. So you can go back and view our previous episodes, the content that we've done on this legislation, but I'm going to give you kind of a brief synopsis. If you want to go deeper, you can go to our previous episodes. But there's updates being made, and there's things that you should be in the know of. Some of it's good, some of it's still out there. So I'm not trying to lean either way. Don't shoot the messenger, right? I'm just here to report the news. But these are things that you need to be up to speed on. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit later also, but you need to be informed. You need to be up to speed on what's going on, because these things can directly impact not only your current employment, but your future retirement. So let's dive into today's content and let's see what's updated when it comes to the budget legislation. So when it comes to the budget legislation, there have been some things that have been modified. And I'm going to talk about what's in and what's out. Now, first of all, let's start with what's out, because there were a number of concerns that we had, and I know federal employees had, when it comes to the budget legislation that was originally proposed and how it was going to affect not only you currently, but also in the future when you get to retirement. So eliminating provisions that have been knocked out as of today, reviewing this and going over it. Again, this is all subject to change, so bear with me, but as an update for today, what has been eliminated. Now, first of all, is the provision requiring all federal employees currently hired and new employees to contribute 4.4% towards the pension system. Now, you go back to the FERS system, right? I'm mostly going to talk about FERS because there's not as many CSRS left and they're not making any new ones. So we're talking mostly to FERS employees. But if you were hired prior to 2013 as a FERS employee, your contribution is 0.8%, 0.8%, 0.8%. So they were going to try to make some folks, maybe not everybody, that was a little gray, little not clear, but get up to 4.4%. Then there were the folks that were hired in 2013, and they were contributing 3.1% towards the pension system. We're going to try to get those to 4.4. And then the new hires after 2013 were contributing 4.4% towards the pension system. This provision was going to make everybody get up to 4.4. So they've eliminated that. Awesome. Another thing that they've eliminated was going from a high 3 to a high 5. Now that's good news for those when it comes to retirement, because the high 5 would have expanded the average for the number that they use to calculate your pension. And the more that they expanded it, the less that number was going to be. Okay, so this is going to keep you at the high 3 in order to get a higher pension compared to the high 5 calculation. So that's good. What else is out? The FERS supplement elimination. Now, we were talking about this recently, our last episode, talking about the FERS supplement at Social Security and what if they got rid of it. Now, this is not something that they're thinking of eliminating at this point. I will say it again, that the FERS supplement elimination, that provision or that idea has been out there every single year since I started working with federal employees way back to 2012. Ever since then, there has been legislation out there that has tried to eliminate the FERS supplement. Luckily for federal employees, it has not been eliminated, but it's always something that's on the chopping block. So be aware of when this provision actually becomes a reality of them trying to eliminate this thing. So that's what's out. So of the previous episode that we did outlining the initial budget legislation that was coming, that was going to directly affect you. As of right now, they're not making all active employees get up to 4.4%. They're not going to go to a high 5 as of right now, and they are not going to eliminate the FERS supplement. So what's still in it? First, we're talking about new hires. So this before was for active hires, right? For actively employed federal employees, we were not going to change contribution percentage. But for new hires, the provisions that are still in it, their contributions are drastically more than current federal employees. So I said the most that somebody's currently putting in now is 4.4% for a FERS FRAE employees. The new hires, if this goes through, will contribute 2 different levels. The first would be 9.4% for those that are willing to be at-will employees. They're not under the protections of Title V. They're at will, which means they can be let go, they can be fired, they can be terminated, really for whatever reason. They don't have the same protections as somebody that's under Title V. For those that want those protections, it's not 9.4, it's 5% higher. So it's a bigger jump, 5% higher, 5% more than the most that federal employees are currently putting in, right? Currently a FERS employee, I said the max is 4.4%. Not only if you want to be covered under those Title V protections, do you have to put in more, but you have to put in more. The amount more is greater than the maximum somebody's putting in now. And that goes up to 14.4% of somebody's current check. So you see the deductions now when you look at your leave and earning statement, you can see what is coming out. You're either 0.8%, 0.8, 3.1 or 4.4. New hires can be at 9.4 or 14.4, depending upon whether they want to go at will or not. Now that's a big jump. Still 6.2% to Social Security. That doesn't change. Still 1.65 for Medicare. And you still want to put money towards your TSP, most likely. So, but this can reduce the amount that's available to go to TSP if there's a big now change in what's coming out to go to the pension system. What I have not heard is any change to the pension calculation. So putting in a lot more to get out the same, that's a tough deal for new hires. So if you're newly hired, great. Hopefully you're grandfathered on this. I don't know if the budget legislation did go through, if it's new hires from that point, or if it's new hires for next year. We'll see what comes out. But just be thankful if you're currently employed that they're not raising your contribution rate, but unfortunately, they are raising it for new hires. There's still the $350 filing fee for the MSPB. That's the Merit System Protection Board. So just understand that if you do want to file for that, you do have to pay that fee. You do get your fee back if you win your case, but it's just there to prevent any I guess taking advantage of the system. We're just trying to frivolous, they called it, filings to overload the system. they put that fee in place. They're still going to be doing the FEHB audit. So they're going to be auditing that system and the enrollees that are in there, which means if they find that somebody's ineligible or shouldn't have been eligible, they're going to disenroll them from the program. So it's really, I guess it's a benefit for you all, I would assume, because you're under a group plan and group rates are determined by the overall health of the group. You do not want people that are not eligible in your group that could be dragging it down. Now, if there's a lot of them and a lot of people, the reasons why they're in there, not only are federal employee health benefits good, but maybe they're sick, they can be negatively affecting the pool and the group and all the companies and end up increasing your rates. Now, that's a very broad reason of why, it's good. Obviously, if you have family members that aren't eligible or people that are in your program that aren't eligible, they're going to be disenrolled. That's a negative to them, but they most likely should have been enrolled in the first place. This is in my opinion, if they were ineligible to begin with. So doing that audit should help in the long run, keep your costs lower, or maybe not have raises in what those costs are going to be down the road. So these are things that are still in, right? But the change in the contribution percentage for new hires, that's drastic. The filing fee, I don't think that's that huge of a deal, right? If you're confident in your case and you win the case and you can get that back, great. It's meant, again, to prevent, frivolous claims. And then the FEHB audit, I think that's a win. That's not something that's really negative for you guys. So the big things that were out, I'm glad they're no longer talking about eliminating the first supplement. They're no longer talking about increasing to a high five, and they're no longer talking about increasing everybody's contribution percentage just to get out the same thing. And we've talked about this before, right? Just because you're putting in more doesn't mean you're going to get out more in the end, in general. So the fact that they're going to make these folks, these new hires, if this goes through, pay a lot more, I wonder how that's going to be received, and how that's going to change the retirement system, if they're going to change the calculation in the way that these new hires get their retirement. That's yet to be seen. I'm not sure, but that is a big drastic increase in the amount of contributions that people are going to make to that retirement system. So next steps, why are we talking about this continually? And why do I feel like I'm beating a dead horse on the Federal Retirement Show, talking about the new legislation? Well, it's important. These are things, as I mentioned earlier, that get changed or modified with or without your say, and they can directly affect you both now while you're working and as you're preparing and going into retirement, right? The first supplement was big. If they eliminated that for new retirees, that can be huge for people that were retiring based on the knowledge that they were going to get that. And if it's taken away from them, well, that's a big problem. That's a drastic hit to their retirement income. The high 3 to a high 5. All of these things you need to be in the know of, because they are going to directly affect your career as you're working and as you're planning for retirement. And I said, these things can change on a dime with or without your say. So I want you to stay informed. I want you to be in the know. I want you to do your research, fact check anybody you're listening to, do your Googling, and see if you can confirm all of these things, because we did make a slight mistake, and we've made an adjustment with some of the things that we say, but this is for you to stay informed. It's your job. It's your career. It's your retirement. You should know all these things. And I've said this before, one of the mistakes that federal employees make, there's a false sense of security saying, hey, I work for the government. All is taken care of. All is great. I put in my 30 years. I put in my time. I'm going to be taken care of in retirement. And that's not necessarily true. It's true to a point, but you have to take some steps to ensure that you're going to retire properly or retire how you want to retire. So stay informed, be knowledgeable. I do not want you to have that ignorance of thinking, hey, the government is going to take care of me. I'm good. That false sense of security. Hey, I'm taken care of because I work for the government. I want you to have true peace of mind, knowing 100% that you're planning properly for your future. That is huge. That's what you're working for. I have to assume that, because most federal employees that I talk to, that's what they are working for, is to eventually retire, stop working, and live the way they want to live the way they've been planning for years. So we have to have a plan. In order to be planning, we have to be properly informed. You need, and this is my opinion here, but if I were suggesting something to each and every federal employee that's watching this, you need to get a benefits and retirement evaluation. You need to talk to an expert. You need to talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about and review your benefits and retirement situation. Okay. I'll explain why. Why do you go to the doctor every year for a physical? Hopefully, I'm going to pause there. Hopefully, you go to the doctor every year to get a physical. You go there because there may be some things that you are not sure of. There may be some things that you want a medical expert to check out and review. And in the end, you go for your physical, you get your blood work done, you get your analysis done. You want them to pat you on the back, give you a thumbs up. Hey, everything checked out. Everything's great. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you didn't go, what are the consequences? You might be dealing with something that you can't feel. There might be something going on in your blood work that you can't see or feel. There may be something that can be prevented that you're just not being made aware of because you didn't talk to the expert. You didn't get the test done. You didn't get the analysis done. You didn't get the review done. It's the same. I'm not complaining. I'm not comparing myself, I should say, to a doctor, but like a doctor in a similar fashion, what we do and what our reps do across the country is we review your situation just like you're going to get your health care taken care of by going to your annual review or your annual physical. We're going to lay it all out there. And best case scenario, after we review your entire situation and look at how you're planning for retirement and taking advantage of the benefits and trying to reduce costs as much as possible, we want to pat you on the back, give you a thumbs up, say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right track. But just like in the example of not knowing what's going on medically, if there's something that's wrong, you can be made aware of it. There can be a red flag that goes up. There can be an alarm bell that keeps ringing that you say, hey, there's something wrong here. And if you don't make any changes, this is what the result could be. You may not be able to retire when you want. You may not have the amount of money that you want to have in retirement. You may be paying too much for your benefits now. You may not know all the options and be taking advantage of everything and be set up as properly as possible, as maximized as possible. Right? I use that a lot. I want you to maximize your benefits and retirement information. I want you to ensure that you're on the right track. So those are the things I highly recommend doing that. Now, how do you do it? How do you talk to an expert? You can certainly reach out to us. Our website is federalretirementshow.com. There's a form on there. You fill that out. One of our reps, if it's not me personally, across the country will reach out to you. And in the end of the review, as a token of our appreciation, you can get a copy of my book, There's No Excuse. It's your guide to maximizing your federal benefits. You can get a copy of that as a reference piece. Okay, so not only can you get a review done by an expert, you can get all of your questions answered, maybe even answer some questions that you didn't know to ask, but ensure that you're on the right track. If you're not, what does a doctor do if you're not on the right track? They prescribe something, right? They give you a remedy. They give you a solution. They give you a treatment plan. Same thing here. We give you a retirement and benefits treatment plan. We give a suggestion. We give you a remedy, a cure, or a prescription of what we think you should do to make sure that you're on the right track. Now, the road to recovery, so to speak, so you're on the right track for retirement. That's huge. I'd say consistently track your process or progress. You don't normally go to the doctor one time and they say, you're good to go. Congratulations. Never have to come here again. We checked it out once. No, I think you should continually go to the doctor and get annual physicals, but you should continually, on an annual basis, get a review done of your benefits because what has changed, right? The reviews that I've done with federal employees in 2012 are going to be different today if they make these changes or if they made some of these changes. What if they eliminated the first supplement? That's not something that I would have shown. What if they went to a high five? That's a totally different calculation. So make sure that you're getting this continual progress check done. That way you can keep knowing that you're on the right track, right? If you got a pat on the back, a thumbs up, we'll go back again next year with the goal of getting another thumbs up, and the next year, and the next year, and the next year. We do annual reviews with our federal employee clients all the time because people want to ensure or make sure that they are on the right track and continue to be on the right track. This allows you to take control, right? Do not allow the government to make all the decisions for you. You should take control of your future retirement. This is your life. This is your future. The government, yes, provides some benefits and provides things that you can take advantage of. You want to maximize those things, but you should be taking control of it and of everything else beyond that, because a lot has to do with you. This is not the old school way of the company's going to take care of me. The government's going to take care of me. When I retire, I'm good to go, right? You have to take control of this. You have to make decisions. You have to constantly monitor to ensure that you're on the right path. And I can't say this enough, guys, especially with all the confusion and things that are coming out in the past year, the changes that are being made, some positive, some negative, depending on your perspective. But you need to know those changes. You need to know the modifications. You need to take control of what you know and do not rely on others. You can hear it from us, but take control of that and learn it for yourself. I think that's the way you're going to be best suited to go forward and make sure you're properly prepared for retirement. Because that's the end goal. That's what I said earlier, here for, I believe. Yes, you want to do a good job, but ultimately you want to put in your time so you can retire, right? Spend some time doing what you want to do when it's all said and done. You've worked your life, you've worked your tail off. Now you want to ensure that you're set up properly so you don't have to you get another job in retirement or not live the way you want to live when it's all said and done. So when it comes to another budget legislation update, there might be another. You never know until they get to the final end. I want to keep you as informed as possible so you can make the right decisions, right? And my goal is not to fear monger, right? It's not to do anything that is going to negatively impact you. We want to positively help you. That's why we're giving you this information. But I encourage you, take that next step, get a benefits and retirement review done, talk to an expert. You can go to our website again, federalretirementshow.com, fill out the form, we'll schedule a review, and in the end, you'll get a copy of our book as a good reference piece, and you can use that going forward. So I hope you found today's information helpful. I hope you found the content that we're discussing across the entire show helpful. If you do like it, I remind you again, subscribe, get notified when there's new episodes coming out. Tell a colleague, tell a friend. Do not keep us a secret. Allow them to share in the same wealth of knowledge that you're experiencing right now. Look forward to speaking to each and every one of you. Also look forward to seeing you on a future episode. We'll talk again soon.